welcome to Diecast Restos. My name is Jason and this is the 53B Mercedes-Benz 220 SE. It was released in 1963 and lasted in the Matchbox range through till 1968. It is simultaneously one of my most and least favourite castings. It is beautiful and the scaling is spot on, yet it is so incredibly fragile. This one is in a fairly okay state, missing just a single A-pillar. However, some ended up looking like this, if not worse. The fracture points were mainly the A-pillars and the joints at the base of the doors, but with the A-pillars gone, the roof would only be held up by the B-pillars at the back. Way back when, I had tried to glue one of these Mercs back together. It had crumbled in my hands as I'd picked it up. Despite gluing and re-gluing, it still looks like this. So I'm going to give it another shot and see if time really is a healer. As such, I'll be attempting to restore at least one out of these three models today, parts depending. You'd better hope that I at least finish one, as it will be a very dull video otherwise. Here is the Mercedes W111 Coupé on which the model is based. The coupés were built by Mercedes from 1961 to 1971. Here I grind down a split pin to replace the missing A-pillar. I then flatten the ends with a sanding attachment from my rotary tool. I can then position and glue in the part. I might add that I'd normally have done this once I'd paint stripped, as the aggressive caustic soda methods can weaken the glue. Not really sure what I was thinking for this one. The baking soda that I'm adding here helps to quickly set the superglue. Next, I'm picking parts that will best work for a rebuilt model. And yes, the roofless wonder did split at its only remaining attachment, unsurprisingly. What I opt to do is lose the roof from one, again not really sure what I was thinking here, and glue it onto this one. It was done really as I'd use the parts with the greatest number of remaining pillars, etc. So off comes the roof. Yeah, this felt sacrilegious even though it was a broken car. And I apply the glue to attach it to model designated number 2, for more than one reason. I then smooth off the dried glue mix. Next is the usual rigmarole of removing wheels and threading the rivet posts. And here are the parts all laid out for the original model. I chuck all the metal parts in a bowl, fill it with hot water and gradually drop in some caustic soda. Introduced in 1959 as a 4-door sedan, the Mercedes W111 initially came with the 2.2 litre inline 6-cylinder engine. The 4-door versions had distinctive tail fins, but by 1961 when the coupe and convertibles were launched, the tail fins had been almost completely smoothed off. The coupe made its debut at the 75th anniversary of the opening of the Mercedes-Benz Museum Stuttgart in February 1961. The convertible followed a few months later. Both received the 2.2 litre M127 engine. Later versions did have uprated engines and trim added. The 220 SE was superseded by the 250 SE in 1965, which itself was replaced by the 280 SE in 1967. The last 280 was produced in January 1971, with the final top-of-the-range 280 SE 3.5 produced in July of the same year. An indirect replacement for the W111 Coupé was the C107 Mercedes SL in hardtop form, which launched in April 1971. So I think I'm right in saying that this casting was the first of the Matchbox range to feature opening driver and passenger doors. It was a great novelty and suited the two-door coupe well, all aside from the body weakness that it created. I've stumbled upon countless 53Bs, and never have I seen one in complete condition. All seem to either be missing A-pillars or have broken joints in various places. The plastic interior held the opening doors in place. The doors also made the model slightly longer than the predecessors in the range. The model came in maroon originally, which is the colour I'm opting for, while the later ones were dark red. Wheels could either be silver, grey or black plastic. Silver trim was applied to the bumpers, the headlights and the grille, but was later omitted from the rear bumper. Additionally, you would often find the doors in a slightly different shade to the body colour, owing to Lesney's changing production techniques over the years. So I've cleaned up the interior parts, polished the axles and windscreen, and given the wheels a coat of Citadel gloss. Now I move on to smoothing off the glued areas on the primed casting. The primer helpfully highlights all of those imperfections that needed correcting. The colour of choice today is Tamiya TS11 Maroon. I chose this over dark red as the maroon is more interesting. Not many models came in that shade, and I've only used it on a custom Morris Minor in the past. I think it really looks good, and having seen some original maroon models, it's quite similar in shade. I tap the wheels onto the axles and highlight the ends with a Molotow chrome paint pen. I use the same pens to fill out the grille. The thicker pen is used to fill in the grille surround and do the bumpers, as well as the headlights. So before I reveal the final result, here is what became of casting number 2. It's sturdy, but the base doesn't quite fit correctly. I applied the glue with the base attached, so I'm not really sure how this has happened. The doors also aren't really perfect. Here's the roofless casting number 3. I planned to turn it into a convertible version, but the glue just didn't hold during assembly. I'd painted a lovely red interior to complement the metallic exterior. What I plan to do, in the not too distant future, is to glue the doors shut so they become an integral part of the body, for added strength. For reassembly of my single complete model, I pop in the windscreen. This will be held in place by the plastic interior and a protrusion in the centre of the base. I then slot the doors in, and finally the base is positioned over the 2 rivet posts and screwed down. So here is how at least one of my 220s looked before we began on this journey. It was in what I would call a manageable condition, meaning I needed to replace an A-pillar, but all the other joints looked and felt sturdy. The paintwork was blistered and the axles rusty, but these were the least of my concerns. So here is what this murky Mercedes looks like now. I'm so pleased with this result. I'm so relieved to have at least one complete model. I think the maroon paintwork looks superb, much nicer than the dark red. The wheels are nice and glossy, while the chrome work looks good front and back. I would have turned the other maroon 220 into a Resto Plus, with additional details filled, but this one I kept factory spec. The Molotow chrome really brings out the best in that grille. I didn't think I've done too badly with the repair work on that A-pillar. Externally it looks fairly smooth. Anyway, that's all from me for now. Please do like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.